Hey everyone, today I'll tell you about a haunting French drama thriller from 2021 based on true events, The Mad Women's Ball. Eugenie stands among thousands, all gathered to bid farewell to the famous writer Hugo. As the ceremony unfolds, a sudden seizure takes hold of her, but just in time, she fights it back. Late for dinner, Eugenie lies to her parents, saying she was at a friend's house. Only her brother Theophile catches the truth, quietly smiling to himself. To change the subject, he brings up the upcoming debates. Eugenie asks if she can attend with him, but their father cuts her off sharply, reminding her that a lady shouldn't take part in such things. Later, before bed, Eugenie slips into the bathroom, and the seizure hits again. This time, she's speaking with someone unseen, but she pulls herself back when she sees her grandmother waiting in the doorway, ready for their nightly ritual. The next morning, Theophile is getting ready for the debates when he finds Eugenie in his carriage, even though their father had strictly forbidden her to go. But Eugenie isn't headed to the meeting. She just asks her brother for a ride to the outskirts of town, where she can quietly read and smoke in secret from their strict parents. Though reluctant and not thrilled about being dragged along, Theophile can't say no to his beloved sister. After buying a fresh bun, Eugenie settles into a modest cafe. There, she smokes slowly, reading poetry, stealing glances at a young man at the next table. Noticing her, the stranger strikes up a conversation and lends her a book about spirits. Inside, on the first page, he leaves a note with his name and a request to meet again so he can get his book back. That evening, reading the gifted book, Eugenie shares the story with her brother. He rests his head on her lap, listening as she reads aloud. The next day, the family arrives at a neighboring estate, home to Theophile's fiancée. This alliance means everything to their father, so when Eugenie snaps again, hurting the young fiancé's feelings, it sparks a family argument. Christmas Eve arrives. Eugenie and Theophile decorate a tree, then climb to the attic to fetch ornaments. Suddenly, Eugenie is seized by another attack. She confides in her brother. Now she sees many spirits, not just one man like before. She opens up, asking him not to be afraid. After all, the book the cafe stranger lent her says there are many like her. Later, Eugenie returns to her grandmother's room to brush her hair and tuck her in. But suddenly, she stops everything and begins rummaging through a closet. There she finds a pendant her grandmother lost 40 years ago. When asked how she knew about it, Eugenie reveals a secret her late grandfather told her. The next morning, a worried mother pulls Eugenie aside. She and her father are heading back to the neighboring estate, and she warns her daughter to behave and keep her thoughts to herself. Noticing tears into her mother's eyes, Eugenie thinks it's just worry about her behavior. She embraces her mother, unaware of what's coming, and prepares to visit a friend. But on the way, she spots a travel bag at her father's feet and realizes this is no ordinary visit. Looking out the window, she doesn't recognize the road. Then through the garden, she sees women who are clearly unwell, and everything sinks in. It's too late. The carriage stops at the gates of a psychiatric asylum. Her father has brought her here after Theophile revealed her secret. The staff grab Eugenie roughly, ignoring her screams. Only Theophile loses his calm, leaning against the carriage, overwhelmed. After some hesitation, the family head signs papers agreeing to his daughter's forced treatment. The head nurse, Genevieve Rimonis, inspects the new arrival with cold eyes. She warns that any disobedience means solitary confinement. Eugenie is led into a shared ward and instantly shocked. Dozens of women surround her, many acting wildly out of control, reaching out to the newcomer. But then Louisa steps in. She's clearly troubled, but her condition feels shaped by the harsh treatment and grim surroundings here. Louisa talks non-stop about her engagement to a young doctor named Jules and about an annual masquerade ball at the clinic, attended by wealthy elites and officials. Over lunch, Louisa introduces Eugenie to the others, walking her through each patient in vivid, unsettling detail. That first night is unbearable. Eugenie barely sleeps. At dawn, she watches as head nurse Genevieve quietly leads Louisa away. Their hushed exchange makes it clear this isn't the first time. Louisa is brought into a grand room where dozens of doctors wait, including Jules, the same young doctor she believes she's engaged to. He smiles at her discreetly, careful not to be seen. Dr. Charcot, the hospital's chief physician, begins a hypnosis session. When Louisa collapses mid-trance, he steps over her body without pause, bids the room goodbye and leaves. She's carried to the infirmary, where she eventually regains consciousness. Dr. Jules visits her alone, sends the staff away, and takes advantage of her trust. He whispers promises of love, tells her he'll propose at the upcoming masquerade ball, then slides one hand beneath her dress while pleasuring himself with the other. Later, Genevieve seizes a rare break to visit her elderly father for lunch. She shares updates from the clinic. Cold, factual, disconnected. Back at the asylum, she checks on Eugenie, but the young woman suddenly speaks in a different voice, one that claims to be Blondine, Genevieve's long-dead sister. Shaken, the nurse orders her to be silent, refusing to listen to what she believes is madness. Dr. Charcot continues his rounds and prescribes a new treatment for Eugenie, ice water therapy. Brutal, dehumanizing. It breaks her. Meanwhile, Theophile secretly follows Genevieve through the city. He finally stops her, desperate, filled with guilt. He begs her to help Eugenie, and after a pause, he hands her the book, the one that started it all. Back at the clinic, Genevieve tells Eugenie about the visit and the package. But there's a price. She'll only give her the book if Eugenie helps her speak with her dead sister. One night, Genevieve wakes Eugenie and brings her into her office. They prepare for a seance. At first, nothing. Silence. Then, at last, Blondine answers. Her voice is calm, distant. She says their father has collapsed. Right there, at home, in the kitchen. Dropping everything, Genevieve rushes home and finds her father collapsed after a seizure. When he asks how she knew, she finally confesses everything, but all she gets is criticism and accusations of madness. After another hypnosis session, Louisa's legs give out, half her body goes numb. Watching this, Eugenie can no longer stay silent. She lashes out at the doctors, throwing harsh accusations without holding back. They label her dangerous. She's thrown into a dark, solitary cell, overseen by the ruthless Jeanne. Food is passed through a small slot in the door. The shutters open only rarely. It feels like the entire treatment is designed to break their spirits. One day, when Jeanne comes in to torment Eugenie, the girl tells her she's been speaking with her dead mother and knows all her secrets. In response, the guard strangles her, only letting go when Eugenie can barely breathe. Through it all, Genevieve recalls everything and secretly promises to help Eugenie escape if she can just hold on a little longer. The nurse convinces Dr. Charcot that Eugenie has finally lost her will and is no longer a threat. The doctor agrees to move her back to the general ward, where preparations for the masquerade ball are underway. Eugenie finds Louisa in a wheelchair, but the girl's spirit remains unbroken. She still believes in her upcoming wedding and a happy future. That night, Eugenie reads a secret note Genevieve slipped her during the transfer. Theophile receives a similar secret invitation to the ball. The night of the ball has arrived. The clinic fills with wealthy, powerful guests, drawn by the dark allure of a night with the mentally ill. Theophile arrives too, invited like the rest. He quickly spots Eugenie and asks her for a dance. Jenny watches them like a hawk, suspicious of their every move, convinced they're conspiring with Genevieve. The party begins. Some guests mock the women outright. Others plot darker desires, whispering sweet nothings, while slipping them strong drinks. Amid the chaos, Genevieve quietly leads Eugenie and Theophile to her office. She changes Eugenie into normal clothes, then guides them toward the exit. Jules takes advantage of the distraction. With Louisa's wheelchair in tow, he leads her into an empty room. He tells her about their upcoming marriage ritual. Knowing the paralyzed girl can't resist, he forces himself on her, fulfilling a twisted fantasy he's long harbored. But then an elderly patient bursts in. She's lived in the clinic for 25 years, a woman who once avenged her cheating husband with deadly force. Without hesitation, she attacks Jules, destroying what matters most. Jeanne notices the missing patient and her brother and storms after them. She spots them running through the halls and raises the alarm, but Genevieve manages to get the pair past the gates, where a carriage waits. Genevieve stays behind, refusing to flee with Eugenie. A year later, Eugenie writes to a friend, free and happy, living far away, no longer hiding her gift, but using it to help those in need. Genevieve reads the letter with a faint smile, sitting on a bench in the clinic's park. But now she walks there not as a nurse, but as a patient. This was the price Eugenie paid for her freedom. Thanks for watching, friends. Let me know what you thought of the film in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe to support the channel.